Air Astana. The best comparison that I can think to make is to Oman Air. They're both niche regional airlines, they both have positive reputations that precede them, and they both get consistently rave reviews from content creators and everyday travelers alike. Except from me. Air Astana is a 5-star Skytrax airline, and yes, I know that doesn't actually mean anything. And it's just generally well known that it's the best airline in Central Asia. My experience was pretty far from any of this though. From big schedule changes, to last-minute aircraft swaps, to questionable food, to flat service. I'm just left wondering, what exactly did I miss? By the way, if you're ever curious how much I paid for this or any other flight, or any of the equipment that I use on a daily basis, you'll find all of that in the description below. Let me welcome any of you that might be new to the channel. My name is Kevin. I'm here to give you a self-funded and honest look at some of the best, most unique, or simply most popular airlines and hotels in the world, which I've been bringing to you full-time for going on 5 years. I'd love for you to know more about how I do things on the channel, so simply scan the QR code or check out the hundreds of videos on the channel to do so. Let's get into the trip report. First though, actually before we get into that, I do have to commend the Hilton Beijing Capital Airport Hotel. From the really well-appointed rooms to the fantastic service and the views that kept me entertained for my entire transit, if you need a place to stay close to the airport, don't hesitate to choose this Hilton. And y'all know I'm not one to be boosting hotels in this manner. My flight today is at the unripened hour of 5:55 a.m., so our drive to the very sleepy Terminal 2 was a quick one. Terminal 2 is just a little blip on the map compared to the airport's famous Terminal 3. And there aren't a heck of a lot of international flights that leave from here. Our flight to Almaty is the first of the day, and there isn't another one for another 2 hours. So, empty terminal. Check. Next up, mild drama at check-in. So, our flight was scheduled to be on one of Air Astana's 11 A321LRs. These are outfitted with lie-flat business class seats, the type that have the famous throne seats in alternating rows. I, of course, booked a throne seat for myself, which was a $32 add-on. The night before my flight, I knew that the aircraft had been changed thanks to Flighty. When I checked in, nothing was said about any of this. I was reassigned seat 1A, and knowing that the check-in staff had nothing to do with the aircraft assignments, I didn't bother getting into the larger conversation. But I simply asked for an email address or a phone number to get my $32 refunded. The supervisor came over and immediately went into defensive mode, effectively saying, "Your seat is now in the first row. That's also a premium seat. If you want to be able to apply for the $32 refund, which wouldn't come from us anyway, then we need to move you out of row number 1. After traveling this much, I'm now a professional at knowing exactly the point when it's time to walk away, and so that's what I did, boarding pass in hand. Generally speaking, I'm fairly easygoing about aircraft swaps, and this is why when there's a new product in the market, you're never going to see it on this channel. Lufthansa Allegris, for example. I have zero interest in trying to be one of their early reviews, because it's not worth the risk of an aircraft swap to me, when they just have a few of those aircraft with that product. If it's something like getting Qatar, going from a Q suite to some other sort of lie-flat seat, with or without aisle access, I'll let it go. But if it's a mid to long haul flight like today's, and the downgrade is from an all aisle access lie flat seat, the throne no less, to a standard recliner, I do take issue. Air Astana business class passengers get access to the BGS Premier Lounge, one of the few things that were actually open in the terminal at this hour. I booked this flight way in advance, and so I was surprisingly able to get a good deal from Beijing to Baku. Normally, just this sector to Almaty is over $1,000 in business. None of this is to mention the schedule changes. The date and time of my onward flight to Baku was changed, leaving me with a 36-hour layover in Almaty. So, needless to say, even before I stepped on board, things were not going splendidly. Let's get on board our less than 1-year-old A320neo for what turned out to be a flight at a snail's pace. Obviously, this is not Air Astana's fault, but I do think that this is the first time I've ever flown for hours at a time at something like 300 knots per hour. For reference, this is where my seat was meant to be. And then this is where my seat ended up being. On board was a little bit hectic. I'm pretty sure that not only did no one else in business class know about the aircraft swap, but they also put the 4 throne seat passengers into row 1, since everyone was making precisely the same complaint to the crew. The crew took it in stride, perhaps too much in stride, alternating between the "we are changing the plan for Beijing" excuse and the "crew shortage" excuse. Quote unquote, "This is bullshit," my seatmate said in her attempt to recruit me into the TIFF, but it is what it is. We had standard recliners similar to what you'd get in domestic first in the US. And there was so much stuff at the seats without a place to put anything anywhere. Pre-departure drinks were passed out. You had a choice of water, limonada, champagne, or cherry juice, and I went with the latter. The safety video began, and soon we were pushing back right as the sun began to come up. If you're enjoying the video and would like to support the channel, there are many ways that you could do so. A quick like on the video and subscribe helps videos with the algorithm. You could join my YouTube channel memberships to get early access to some videos and access to all of my community posts. Or you could check out my Patreon, where I post the most and can help you out with any travel related questions. Whatever you do, thanks for doing it.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to depart.
Right after takeoff, hot towels were passed around, and the crew informed us that they forgot to load the menus for the flight. The choices were chicken fried rice, porridge, or an omelet. Before getting into the meal service, let's take a look at the comfort items on board. The pillow was a good size and supportive. Dare I say, the perfect size for a throne seat. The blanket was very soft, something like a chenille, but it was kept pretty warm on board, so I never needed to unwrap mine. Breakfast began as we were flying over the Gobi Desert. The tray service started off with a smoked fish starter, a fruit plate, cherry pastry, and yogurt with bran flakes. The fish and the fruit were the highlight here. The yogurt was somewhere between earthy and gamey. I couldn't have eaten that if I tried. Luckily for the coffee, there were true Americanos or espressos made to order. The main dish was served. My seatmate and I both ordered the chicken fried rice, and we both did exactly the same pause, an extended look at it, thinking, where's the rest of it? Taste-wise, there was none. In flight, I wrote down, quote, if my eyes were closed, I would have told you that this was plain white rice. And the char siu treatment on the chicken was just very artificial tasting. But I just couldn't believe how small the portion was. Hardly any bigger than my yogurt bowl. Overall, this breakfast is getting a 5 out of 10. Entertainment-wise, there was a selection of movies and single TV shows on offer with a good moving map. But by a mile, the best entertainment on board were the views of the Tin Shan Mountains, the very reason that I chose a seat on the left side of the aircraft. Enjoy a little montage. Around 5.5 hours into the flight, the captain announced that we'd soon start our descent into Almaty. But before we do that, let's take a look at the amenity kit. From Ungaro, the kits were stocked with your standard assortment of amenities. I'm not docking the score for this, but I was expecting maybe a local Kazakh brand for the kit. Bathrooms on board this brand new aircraft were well kept throughout the flight, and I appreciate the sturdy handle that they installed. I imagine Air Astana sees quite a bit of turbulence with all of these mountains around. Service on board was very mid. The crew were professional throughout, if not a bit mechanical. Though I could see how having a business class cabin full of complaining passengers might not be the start to the day that they were asking for either. For that reason, I won't fault the service too much. But I should note they probably are used to this. Looking back at the history of this flight, the swaps from the A321LRs to the A320s, it does happen with some frequency. So, not a great showing for Air Astana. I would love to tell you that things got significantly better on my next flight to Baku. But, well, I mean, I don't want to lie to you. They're gonna come in at a 4.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, for your own sake. 亲爱的女士们、先生们，感谢您乘坐阿斯卡纳航班。我们衷心祝您一切顺利，期待下次再会。
On the bright side, at least I got to explore Almaty a bit for a day, at my expense. So I really do hope that you enjoyed this trip report today. If you did, please be sure to click that like button and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss my twice weekly videos. I'll see you next time for my onward flight to Baku. As always, thanks for watching until the end.